I get a lot of questions from people asking me about my background, about my history. But the question that I get the most is, how did you become a CIA officer? How did you become someone who lives undercover and gets all this elite training? How did that happen? And I have no idea how that happened. That's not something that I put in motion, right? That's just something that happened as a result of decisions that I made along the way. But I do know this. I do know that the reason it happened was in part because I never told myself it couldn't happen. I never convinced myself that I couldn't do it. I never thought to myself that it wouldn't be possible. The lesson that I learned for myself after my time at the agency was that goals are not supposed to be simple. Goals are not supposed to be short-sighted. Goals are not supposed to be the kind of thing that you can realistically believe in. If you set realistic goals, then the best that you can ever hope for is to do what you already do, because it's what you consider to be realistic. You see, in the world of espionage, when you set a goal, when you set a mission or an objective, it is always extreme. It is completely unrealistic. It is totally unbelievable. The fact that it has come to your desk at all is because nobody else can do it. The military can't do it. Your intel partners like NSA or NGA can't do it. So it's on your desk as a human intelligence officer to be the last line of defense. Nobody else can do this objective. Nobody else can reach this goal. So it's yours to deal with. So right out of the gates, everything that an intelligence officer is trying to do is already ridiculous. It's already crazy and unrealistic. It's an ambition that many had and very few succeeded with. So why do we set goals for ourselves that are anything less than unrealistically, stupidly ambitious? Because the truth is that intel officers succeed. Traitors are converted every day. Secrets are stolen. Countries are toppled. It happens all the time because somebody out there is trying to do it. What are you trying to do that nobody else can do? What can you try to do, starting today, that everybody else thinks is unrealistic? That's the question. That's the topic for today's conversation. When I was 18 years old, graduating from high school in rural Pennsylvania, the last thing I thought I would ever actually get to do is travel around the world in an alias name, doing things that are completely and totally illegal. And yet, I found myself doing exactly that 20 years later. And the way that I got there wasn't by making a series of short, realistic goals. It was by always leaving myself open to the possibility that I was going to do something ridiculous, that I was going to do something crazy and unbelievable. And when I left myself open for that opportunity, I started setting my goals to be things that were very, very ambitious. I found myself setting a goal to learn Chinese. I found myself setting a goal to learn how to fly. I found myself setting a goal to get a high secret clearance. And then, after I had achieved those goals, if only because I tried where nobody else tried, I found myself being recruited to the agency. Now, at the agency, I found myself surrounded by other people who had gotten there the exact same way. We were all accustomed to setting ridiculous goals. We were all accustomed to achieving ridiculous things. We were all very comfortable in the space that other people think is unrealistic. In that space, I was content. In that space, I was happy. Some of my best friends are still out there serving every day in the intelligence world. They are still out there putting themselves on the front line. They are still living in alias. They are still undercover. And I could not be more proud of those people. But my goal is to take the skills that they have, the lessons that they've learned, the things that they cannot share with the world, and I will share them with the world. Because this world needs unrealistic goals. This world needs ambitions far beyond anything that we can realistically put our mind around. That's how we're going to find a source of renewable energy. That's how we're going to find peace. That's how we're going to make sustainability a reality. Only by finding our way to the things that we think are completely and utterly unrealistic. So you've got to set that kind of goal. All the stuff that you've learned about SMART goals and realistic goals and everything that you've learned about how to set a manageable, approachable, smart, measurable goal, all of those things apply in their own small space. In the work environment, in your business setting, those all do count. But those are not the kind of goals I want you to be considering when we talk. Because when we talk, I want you to be thinking about the astronomically difficult goal. The goal that you are embarrassed to tell other people about. And I will tell you my embarrassing goal. The goal that I have that's so unrealistic and so ridiculous that it's painful to talk about in front of my mother. Painful to share with my in-laws. The kind of thing that I'm about to pour out in front of cameras for fear of what people will say afterwards. And here's my unrealistic goal. I expect my name will one day be a household name. I expect everyday espionage will reach every continent on the planet. That's what I want. I don't want it for money. I don't want it for fame. I want it because what I have to offer is that important. It's that impactful. We need brothers and sisters in Latin America, Asia, North America, Africa. We need everyone to be setting unrealistic goals because only through unrealistic goals are we going to achieve unimaginable things. And that's where I want us to be. So I recognize that there are people who are already famous, people who are already rich, people who have made their fortune, who are teaching you to set simple, achievable goals. And I do not disagree with those people. I am nobody. I have a day job. I work for somebody else. Today. But not forever. And what everyday espionage is an opportunity for me to share my journey with all of you. Because where I am going, I don't want to tell you about it after I'm there. I want you to come along with me. I want you to see how I do it. I want you to see my struggles. I want you to see my doubt. I want you to see my fear. And I want you to recognize that when you feel that way, it's okay. You're allowed to feel that way. Because that's part of the journey for success. That's part of what it means to set an unrealistic goal. Every operation that I ever went on, every time I put myself in a new country, in a new place, in a new name, I had doubts, I had fear. I was curious if I was going to be successful, and I was terrified of coming home failed. And every one of my brothers and sisters that are currently at the agency feel that way every time they go on duty as well. What if it doesn't work this time? What if I drop the ball this time? What if I don't meet the objective this time? What if I don't come home at all this time? That is how you know you're on the path to an amazing accomplishment. When the what ifs are terrifying, that's how you know you're doing something right. Every goal is achieved through a series of decisions along the way. And without the goal, you never know if the decision that you're making is helpful or unhelpful. You never know if the decision is productive or counterproductive. And too often we start to think of decisions as good and bad and right and wrong. And because we think of decisions as good and bad and right and wrong, we don't ever let ourselves think about the goal. The place to start is always with the goal. Know what the goal is, and then choose the decisions that help you get closer to the goal. Make the decisions productive along the way. Just because the goal is scary doesn't mean that you have an out to pick a decision that's counterproductive, a decision that takes you away from the goal. You have ambition. You have something you're trying to achieve. Make a decision that gets you closer to that goal. Decisions will face you every day that distract you from that goal. A new job opportunity, a new trip, some kind of new purchase. Something will pop up that tempts you away, that tempts you to change your objective to something different, to something realistic. But don't let yourself be fooled. Every day, an agency operator runs into the exact same scenario on duty. When they're out there trying to execute a case, there are distractions all around them. Things that pop up that they would have never expected. Police officers show up where they shouldn't be. Assets don't show up when they're supposed to be there. Political climates change, world leaders change, friendships are made, alliances are broken, but you're still the one executing the operation. You're still the one on the hook to do the impossible. You have to look at the impossible through the lens of single decisions that get you closer and closer until you arrive at the destination. That's the objective. That's the goal. That's the secret sauce. If you're reading a book or listening to a podcast, if you're following an influencer who tells you to keep your goals small, to keep them realistic, you can do that. Most of the world is doing that. But you will not reach the astronomical, unrealistic, world-changing objective that you have if you follow that guidance. It will not happen. Every single person who roams through the halls of CIA was told at some point in their life that they will never roam the halls of CIA, that it's not possible. It's too hard. I know that because while I was there, it was a common theme among everybody that you talk to. They were humbled and honored to be there because they had been told their whole life that they would never get there. They had been told it was unrealistic. Think about all the children that say they want to be police officers or firemen, the children that say they want to be spies, the children that say that they want to grow up and be secret agents. What we need to be telling them is, yes, you can do that. Yes, that's a good goal. Yes, how can I help you get there? That's what we need to be telling them. If you have a friend, if you have a peer, if you're in college or in high school and somebody says to you, I think I'd like to be a spy. I think I could do that. I think I could live undercover. Don't tell them they can't. Tell them that they can. Tell them that the world needs them. Tell them that their country needs them. And if you are that person, when someone tells you what you can't do, let them say it. Let them think that. Let them believe that. Because you don't have to. You are already setting that very difficult goal, that astronomical goal that is already beyond the reach of most people to even consider. Set your goal, make it large, and then measure your progress decision by decision by decision. Because any decision that gets you closer is a decision that is productive, and any decision that takes you away from it is a counterproductive decision. There is no right or wrong. When you are in the field, and you are an agency officer, and you are in an intelligence role, you are doing terrible things sometimes. You are taking life. You are lying. You are manipulating. You are feeding addictions. You are doing anything that it takes to collect that piece of intelligence that needs to be collected to power the policymaker to make a decision. That's your role. That's your goal. The decision that you make along the way are not right or wrong. They are either productive or counterproductive. Are you getting closer to accomplishing the objective, or are you getting further away? That's all there is to it. That's what everyday espionage is all about. Our world likes to look at decisions through a lens of good and bad, a subjective idea that other people impose on us. The liberating truth is that the subjective opinions of others have no impact on us. They have no bearing. All that matters is the objective truth of whether or not you are getting closer to your goal. I want to see everybody who watches everyday espionage. I want to see everybody who follows everyday espionage achieve their goals. Their large goals and their small goals, every one of your goals. But the biggest thing that I want to see you do is set unrealistic goals. Set goals that other people will laugh at. Let it happen. Let them laugh. Because while they are laughing, you will be achieving what they cannot imagine. I have every intention of taking everyday espionage to every corner of the globe. I will meet tens of thousands of people. I hope that this information changes lives. That is my unrealistic goal. And if it's happening for you right now, if you are starting to see the world through a different lens, if you are starting to change your own way of thinking, then my decision has been productive. So what is your unrealistic goal? What is it that other people will laugh at? What is it that nobody else is thinking is possible? Make that what you want to achieve. Make that your goal. Make that your ambition. And when you make decisions along the way, don't worry about whether the decision is good or bad, right or wrong. Don't worry what somebody else thinks about your decision. Ask yourself the very simple question of whether or not this decision is getting you closer to your unrealistic goal or whether it's getting you further away. That's all there is to it. And if you pursue the impossible, you will make it possible. And if you fall short of your goal, if I fall short of my goal, what we have done is proven to others that trying is worth it. And the goal will be achieved. It doesn't have to be us that achieves it. It can be someone else that achieves it, but we will be the ones that lead the world to recognize that an unrealistic goal is the only kind of goal that matters. Everyday espionage is an opportunity for you to challenge the way that you see the world. It is not an opportunity to challenge those around you. I accept that the majority of people out there will not change. My ambition is to change myself so that I can always outmaneuver, outperform, and outachieve those people who are not listening. That is everyday espionage. Thank you for listening to the Everyday Espionage podcast. Remember to review and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. And if you took something away from today's conversation, find a friend and share the message.
Freedom! We all want freedom! Will we ever get freedom? I just want freedom! Is it DOL?